Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. One of the biggest fears people have is public speaking. And last Tuesday, I noticed that there was a networking session that one of the speakers was speaking about public speaking. Her name is Rinkal Shukla. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Brian.
Rinkal Shukla is the founder of Candor Leadership Training and a public speaking coach. Rinkal, welcome to the show. And I wonder, can you tell me, how did you ever get involved in training people in public speaking?
Oh yes, thank you for having me, Brian.
My
And
pleasure.
it's a very good question. People actually have a lot of misconceptions about public speaking, and you will find a lot of good public speakers, but you will find very less public speaking coaches. Actually, those who can actually train into public speaking. So when I was working with non-profit organizations back in India, actually. So I was working with so many CEOs of the company, and I was working with so many donors. And there I actually found that public speaking skill is very essential because people have a lot of technical knowledge. They are sufficient in managing funds of big companies. But when it comes to speaking in front of huge audience, they actually become a little bit nervous. Okay, and they cannot deliver their speeches or presentation in an effective way. So then I saw that gap, that it's not only students who want to become job ready, they just need public speaking skills, or those who want to become speakers, they just need only public speaking skills. But there are people who are running a big company, but still when it comes to deliver leadership speech or inspirational speech, they also need to have this confidence in public speaking skill. And from there I started my business to teach this particular public speaking skill.
Why do you think we have naturally this aversion to public speaking, this fear, this nervousness? Why is it bred in our DNA that you get nervous about standing in front of people and speaking? We've probably done it for a million years. Why are we still nervous about it?
Yeah, so there is a say, and the research has actually said that death is not a number one fear people have. Public speaking is the number one fear in human beings. And the reason with this, not there is not only one reason, but there are many reasons. Number one is people are afraid of being judged. They just have that in mind, that people will judge me. What if I do mistake? What if I mess up in front of people? And I will be ashamed. My image will be ruined. So this kind of mindsets and this kind of thoughts come in their mind. And because of that, they are not ready to take their first step towards public speaking.
What are some of the common challenges or misconceptions that individuals face when it comes to public speaking?
Oh, there are many misconceptions, but majorly I would like to say only two misconceptions. The first misconception people have, that public speaking are born with confidence. So if you see everywhere globally, public speaking is a skill. That's a learnable skill. It's not that somebody just comes with their birth, that they have the confidence. Yes, some people have confidence, but public speaking is not only confidence. It is an ocean. You need to have a confidence. You need to speak right words in front of right audience. So for example, if you are addressing people, who are college students, who are university students, your speech should be different. If you are addressing kids, your speech should be different. So everything is connected with public speaking. So the misconception people have that, okay, this person has confidence and that person can become public speaker, but not me because I don't have confidence. He or she is born with that. No, it's a learnable skill. That's the first misconception people have. And second misconception is you need to be extrovert. Okay, that's a misconception that only extrovert people can become a public speaker. No, that's a big misconception. So many introvert people are public speakers. Introvert speakers are like, they do not speak everywhere. But when it is required, they speak with confidence. So even if you are an introvert, you can become a great public speaker. So these two are major misconceptions people are having.
How do you address these misconceptions in your coaching?
Oh, in my coaching. Okay. Okay. So related to my program, let's just talk about my program. My program is a in person and online. But in coaching, what we address with this misconception is actually two-way. We teach in a two-part. One is your outside personality, where when you speak in front of people on the stage. So that's your outside personality related to your body language, your content, what you are speaking, your eye contact, everything. And another part which people are missing, that your inner confidence. You must have seen many people that who are confident speaking outside, but you will see some of the body language, like they constantly shake their hands, they constantly shake their legs. So these are all inner less confidence. These are some of the signs which you see. So we work on both your outside personality and your inner confidence as well. So we provide in two parts. One is your content, body language, everything outside, how you look and what you are speaking, your words, tones, everything, your gesture, postures. And another, which comes with breathing exercises, which actually boost your confidence from inside. So these two factors we actually combine in our training.
So how do you build that confidence then? If you're saying you're talking about the words, the tone, the gestures,
true.
How do you actually build that confidence so that you solve those issues?
Yeah, so let me just tell you a story with this, that how this happens and how you get the outcome after the training. So the training is not actually a 1 day or 2 day training. My training sessions are a 5 days training. And sometimes what happens that people don't have time, so we arrange it in a way that they have a time. But usually every week there is a one session. So in a way, what happens, it's a 1.5 month training. But how do we address, coming back to your question, that how do we address, is every week they have to practice about it. If you are actually coming for in-person session, practically we make them stand in front of people. Whenever there is a group, they have to stand and they have to speak. So unless and until you don't practice practically in person, you will never have idea that whether you have improved your confidence or not. So suppose, because you have a lot of techniques and tips on YouTube or even Google, I can search that, okay, what are the tips and tricks to improve my public speaking skills, to improve my self-confidence, and you will have a bunch of tips and tricks about it. But do you get result from that? No, unless and until you stand on the stage, you don't do practice in front of people, there you will understand that whether you have improved or not. So first session, they practice. I give them improvement. Okay, this is how your hands should go. This is how your eye contact should be. What are the vocabularies you have to use in front of what kind of audience? Then in the second session, they do more practice, more improvements and feedbacks go. In third session, again, the more practice with all kind of speeches, all kind of audiences. And after fourth and fifth sessions, they start improving their confidence.
I can't agree with you more. I think that practice is so critically important. So many people don't actually practice. They think they can just stand up and wing it and do a great job.
Actually,
I'll tell you, if I could, a quick story. I used to work for the Jim Pattison Group, and Bob Hope was the keynote speaker at a management conference in Penticton, BC. And Bob Hope didn't know who Jim Pattison was, even though he's a Canadian billionaire. Didn't know where Penticton, BC was, but flew in for the event. And Jimmy and I were walking through the ballroom in the Saturday afternoon before the Saturday night gala that he was going to be speaking at. And he was practicing. Bob Hope, a major performer, was practicing on the stage in Penticton, BC. So Jimmy says, Bob Hope, like, you're the Bob Hope. You don't even know who Jim Pattison is, where Penticton, BC is. Why are you practicing your lines? And he said to Jimmy, Bob Hope will be the best Bob Hope can ever be, whether he's in front of 20,000 people in Las Vegas or 200 people in Penticton, BC. True. And I took a huge lesson from that. If practice is good enough for Bob Hope, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I always tell everyone that even if you go on the stage 10 times or 1,000 times, but every time if you do practice, you are through, But if you don't practice and homework is extremely important for everybody, for everyone. So even if you have given thousands of speeches, it's always advisable that you keep on practicing. Otherwise, if you miss out the practice for 6 months, you're again starting from zero only.
We're going to take a break for some messages and come back in just 2 minutes and talk a little bit more about public speaking, building confidence, the right hand gestures, how to stand, how to sit, etc. in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. Our topic tonight is public speaking, and our guest is Rinkal Shukla. She is the founder of Candor Leadership Training, and she's a public speaking coach. We've been chatting a little bit about practice and building confidence. Rinkal, how do you actually build confidence? Are there any tricks other than practice to build confidence? I'll give you, a couple of suggestions that I have, and see if you think that they're of any value. Before I ever go on stage or go into a big important meeting or write an exam or something like that, I always played pump-up music. My pump-up music used to be Earth, Wind, and Fire's September, which I loved. And then it was Pitbull's Fireball. And lately I've been doing Travis Kelce's You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Party. So is that gimpy, or is that stupid, or does it make sense? I need to get my energy up. Is that a good idea?
That's true. Yeah, of course, it is a good idea. It's not a bad idea at all, because if that gives you the energy and confidence before going on the stage, it's definitely a good idea. But I can give you some other tips also if you want. Please. Should I give you more tips?
Yes.
All right. So I'm giving you quick tips before you go on the stage. Anywhere, if you haven't spoken anywhere, any day, but this tips will surely work for you if you have to speak in front of people. Okay. So first is a breathing exercise, which I will give you. So before you go on the stage, before 10 minutes, you start your breathing exercise, okay? And how you need to do is, I just tell you, breathe in for 3 seconds. You can count up to 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Hold for 3 seconds. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3. And then breathe out for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. Yeah. So this is the breathing exercise you have to do 5 times before you go on the stage. I'm repeating again. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is you can just do it 5 times before you go on the stage, and you will never know that whether it has increased your confidence or not. But when you go on the stage, you will feel better and relaxed while speaking.
Why does that
help? It will surely help you.
So
because breathing exercises actually work with your body parts and nerves, which eventually help with your less confidence. So that's why this exercise has proven amazingly with all of my candidates. Whenever they go on the stage, they always apply this technique.
So I think that you're right in that regard. And I think there's 2 other reasons why it works. I think that you get more oxygen into your body.
Yeah, exactly.
And so therefore more oxygen helps. There's no question. And the other thing is you can't do that breathing exercise if you're crunched over. You've got to be standing up or sitting up straight to do that breathing exercise, because you're expanding your chest. And so by definition, if you're standing up straighter or sitting up straighter, you're more confident.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. Another, what you said, that you were just jumping, and that also gives you a lot of exercise, because some confidence, actually, there are many people who just need some kind of energy, wherever they go. So, they just speak something like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, and that boosts their confidence. So while dancing, they can just speak on that, I'm the best, I'm giving the best speech, I'm confident person. That another exercise which they can actually, which can boost their confidence. And these are called affirmations. Now I give you one example. Everybody must be knowing Muhammad Ali, right? So Muhammad Ali always, before the match, they always keep on saying that I'm the champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion. And that's the positive affirmations you are actually giving to yourself. So when you are going on the stage, just say that you are confident public speaker, you are confident public speaker, you are confident public speaker. These affirmations while dancing or while relaxing, this will help you.
I love that. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. What I do is I visualize myself. I close my eyes and I visualize myself standing up there on the stage, straight and tall, speaking well, and being confident and having an impact on the audience.
Yes, of course. 110%. That visualization technique is super powerful. It comes with a lot of results when you do, but that visualization technique, you need to do it before some days of your speeches.
Yep.
So yeah, so it should be like a consistent, you do visualization technique daily, and eventually it will actually show the result in all of your speeches.
Amy Cuddy from Harvard Business School, a strategy professor, spoke about your posture, and that she suggested that you sort of do the hands on the hips and the wide stance, and that made you confident. Or Superman pose from yoga, or the victory pose that you do when you're victorious. Do you think those kind of poses before a speech help you?
Okay, so now it varies person to person. It may not work for everyone. So every person has a different personality. So, every time it doesn't work that if I tell some person that, okay, do this kind of poses and do this kind of jumping and speaking, this may not work for that person. So what we do is like we understand the personality of a person, and then you give the idea that what kind of technique will work for you. So for some people, just while sitting, focusing on their affirmations, I'm a confident public speaker, that work. Some people speak affirmations like this: I am a confident public speaker, I am a confident public speaker. That works well for them, right? And sometimes before going on the stage, sometimes this kind of poses, actually they just start thinking that I'm looking funny, and sometimes it lowers the confidence a little bit. So it varies actually person to person, but definitely majority of the postures actually work for people.
Well, I guess what you're saying is that you've got to find out what works for you, but also, which I think is really important to be successful as a public speaker, is you've got to find your authentic voice, because you can't be the exact same as every other speaker. If you want people to actually listen to what you have to say,
true,
you have to make them feel that you're being authentic, that it's really you that's speaking to them. Isn't that important, to be authentic?
yeah, of course, it is extremely important, Brian. Thank you for coming up with this question, because another this comes to my attention that this is another misconception that people say that no, if you have knowledge, people will listen to you. But no, that does not happen. If you don't deliver properly with your good voice and good tone, people are not going to listen to you. Now, suppose let's just take the example. If I'm speaking here and I don't have any kind of tonation, I'm just standing like this and speaking, hi, Brian, I'm excited to see you. And yes, I want to come again on your show. So, I mean, would you be impressed with this?
No.
Absolutely not. The audience will also not like it, right? So that's why this kind of stuffs are extremely important, and you need to work on your voice as well, because there are people who have a very thin voice and there are people who have a very thick voice. So some kind of a voice modulation exercises actually help them to balance their voices. And there are people who cannot stretch their sentences. So some breathing exercises are there. Through that, they can stretch their sentences and they can stretch their breath, so that it impacts while speaking. Your voice should be lovable to audience, and that's where you need to work on your voice modulation if you want to become not a good public speaker, but if you want to become a great public speaker, these things matter.
So voice modulation, what do you mean by that?
True. Okay, so voice modulation techniques varies again person to person. So just normal and standard exercise, if I tell you here, that if you have a very thin voice, okay, that like this, that hi Brian, good morning, nice to see you today. Okay, now so it's better that if you work on your voice, right, and if you come up to your balanced voice, so there is a breathing exercise for that, and this exercise is called hum exercise.
Hum exercise.
Yeah, hum exercise. Yeah. So there are different parts of it, but basically, I would suggest from here that don't try on your own this exercise, because first you need to understand your voice and whether it is working for you or not. That also you need to understand. But hum exercise is like stretching your breath and improving your voice. So it's like when you breathe in, and while breathing out, you just pick hum. And you stretch till the time you can stretch. If you can just stretch up to 3 seconds, it's fine. Slowly, gradually, you will be able to stretch for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And there, when you are on the stage, you will be able to give long speeches and you won't get exhausted and your voice will improve with this exercise.
So the modulation changes. You make sure that you have breath control and breath ability so that you can say a whole sentence without losing your breath.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you change your volume?
Volume?
Yes.
As in like up and down?
Yes.
Yeah. So up and down, how this helps, this kind of exercise. There are so many exercises which you should focus as per your voice. That if your voice is so loud, your breathing exercises will be little bit different to lower down your voice. And it goes in a very relaxing mode. There are people, you must have seen, Brian, that they're too fast in speaking. Hi, Brian, how are you doing? Let's just meet up for a coffee tonight. That's it, okay? Within 2 seconds, they just finish 3 or 4 sentences, okay? And you lose your concentration while speaking with that person because that person is too fast. So that doesn't work on the stage. Maybe one-on-one it works, but on the stage, it does not work. Or you should give audience a time to digest and to understand your statements. So when you speak in a balanced way, that helps a lot to influence the audience. And that's why these voice modulation techniques actually work for a public speaker.
I think you're right that you got to speak in a balanced way. But actually, I happen to believe that volume is very impactful because often when people are speaking loud all the time, or even, very loud all the time, people stop paying attention. But if you actually speak quietly, people really pay attention to what you have to say.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Even if you, so from that, it reminds me when you see YouTube videos or any person's interviews, you would always like to listen to that person who is quiet and who is going in a very balanced way or a slow way with in comparison with a person who is so loud and fast, right? So that's why balanced confidence is important. Low confidence is not good. Overconfidence is not good. Low volume is not good. Louder is not good. Everything is good in balance.
So everything we've been talking about so far is about what you say verbally. Is nonverbal communication also important?
Absolutely, yes. Because what we see now that there is one theory. I don't know. I completely don't agree with that theory. But some parts, definitely, with some parts. So there is a theory which says that your body language, that means that, as you said rightly, that non-verbal communication plays a big role. So out of 100%, 55% your non-verbal communication, your body language, which are eye contact, your smile, your facial expressions, your hand movements, your postures, everything. 7% your words, what you are speaking, okay? And 33% your tone. How do you speak? I mean, on which word you need to put more stress and on which word you just have to be lower down. So this is the theory. Since a long time it is working, but I still believe that it's not that only 7 words are actually working only with 7%, but no, words are also extremely important while you are speaking. Okay, so if you speak any word, any abusive language, it's not going to work, right? Even if you have a great body language, your tonation is good, but you are not using right words or good words, then it's not going to work. So your body language, your words, and your tone, these 3 should be aligning. You cannot ignore even a single thing. You cannot ignore even tonation of your words, not words, and your body language. So definitely body language plays a bigger role, but this along with words and tonation. Not only body language can work. Body language works perfectly when you are aligning words and tones, because why body language has 55% weightage? Because if you're going in a meeting, for example, you are also in a conference, I'm also in a conference. What happens when I open the door and if I come in? And when you see me, you have not seen me communicating. You have just seen me non-verbally, right? You will see my personality. Whether I'm coming in the door, whether I'm entering with a smile, with a good confidence, with gesture, whether I'm shaking hand with everyone. Do I have a good personality and my good facial expression? That's why it plays a bigger role. Because first you see the person, then you talk to the person. But it goes along with words and tones.
I think the key on hand gestures, and you're a great example of it, is hand gestures should be meaningful. There should be some meaning in the hand gestures. They should have some connection to what you're actually saying. And you, when you've used your hands, have used them in a way that really sort of amplify what you're saying verbally.
True. Yes. Exactly. So I give you another example. If I'm giving a speech and if I'm telling that Canada's inflation rate is rising. Now I give you two examples with this. The first is a very flat statement. I will just stand and I will see Canada's inflation is rising. Okay, that's flat. Words are right. No tone, no body language, no hand gesture. Now the another second with body language and tone. Okay. Now if I say Canada's inflation is rising. So when you say rise, your hand should go up and your stress should be on rising. So Canada's inflation is rising. So audience will immediately catch you. Oh, she is talking about something rising. Oh, the economy is going down. So your hand should go down. So these kind of hand gestures actually, give you the best personality in front of audience, and you will easily be able to engage audience and influence audience.
Some of the best advice I had from someone was that when you're making that kind of a speech, you're telling a story. And if you think about someone around a campfire or in a library telling children a story, they would use hand gestures for obvious reasons because they're trying to entice people into that story, to capture them into the story. And so those hand gestures end up being really critically important in a story. So use it in your speech. Anyway, we got to take a break for some messages, and we're going to come back in just 2 minutes. If people want to access your advice, your coaching, how do they best do that? Is there a website they should go to?
Yeah, there is a website. It's a www.candor.in, Candor with Kandor.in. And I have my all social media accounts with the name of Rinkal Shukla. So they can DM me from there as well.
We're going to take a break for 2 minutes, and we're going to be back with Rinkal Shukla about public speaking in just a minute or two. Stay with us, everybody.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Rinkal Shukla. She is the founder of Candor Leadership Training. She's a public speaking coach, and we're talking about public speaking. We've talked about confidence. We've talked about practice. We've talked about tone and modulation. We've talked about volume. We've talked about nonverbal gesturing and body language. Rinkal, when you coach people, is feedback important?
Feedback as in if they are practicing and I give them feedback, right?
Yes.
Yeah, feedback is very powerful tool if you want to improve. Now again, Brian, feedback, again varies person to person. Because in my coaching classes, whenever I see my candidates and participants, everybody comes with a different mindset, right? Everybody has a different mindset. If I have 10 people in my group, some people cannot take feedback in front of people, right? And some people are very positive and they have a learning attitude. So whenever I tell them about improvements and give them constructive feedback, they are ready to improve that. But some people are not ready. They just have something, in their ego. They take it, oh, I did a mistake. So it's very difficult to give them the feedback. So in my first session, I always tell them that if you are here to improve your public speaking skills, you have to be open-minded and to improve every day. So then we change their mindset and start giving them feedback, because what happens that we are student lifetime. Nobody is a perfect public speaker. Every time you just keep on improving only. So while giving feedback is extremely important, but it is again important while taking feedbacks. So when you take feedbacks, you have to start improving it. So I have to give feedback differently to every person because everybody has a different mindset. So if I give one person a feedback in first way, the another way to another person is a different way to give them the feedback. But feedback plays very important role because as I gave you the example last time as well, that you have so many tips and tricks online, right? On Google or YouTube, you will have the idea that, okay, to become a public speaker, you need to do this things. And you start doing it, but nobody is there to improve you. How would you come to know whether you have improved your public speaking skill or no? Right? So even in the school, even in the academic year, if you don't do your project well, there is nobody, no professor is there to give you grades. You will never come to know whether you are at a 30%, 50% or 70%, right? So that's where feedback plays very important role.
So if we were working together and you were trying to coach me, how would you give me feedback?
How would I give you feedback? Okay, yeah. So first, the first, I always try to give a constructive feedback. So first, I will tell you after your speech that, Brian, you had done amazing work in these 3 areas. Okay. That, for example, your content was too good, the way you were asking questions were too good, and you had applied eye contact. So these 3 things, you were amazing. Where you need to improve is little bit tonation in your words and your hand gestures. So these 2 things, if you improve, you will improve up to this level. So this is how I prefer to give feedback to people, so that they just, think that, no, they have done good job in these areas.
I often will try to do a little bit of a speech for the person. So I'll take some of their content, if I can remember some of it, and I'll actually do a short part of the speech for them so they can get a sense of what I would do and how I would do it if I was actually them. And I think that sometimes that's helpful for someone to sort of hear how someone else might actually convey the same message that they're trying to convey. What do you think of that idea?
As in, if the same speech, we just have to get a content from someone else?
Yeah. So if I was training someone, like yourself, for an example, I would take some of your content and I would repeat it back to you and do it in my way, the way that I would present the speech.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely you can get content from someone else, and in your way, you can teach those people and give feedback to other people. But what works well for you, if that is your own content, because you know yourself the best. So if you are taking some contact and feedbacks from someone else, you will not be able to give your 100% into that.
I also find it's helpful to videotape myself and watch myself because I'm my harshest critic. Is that helpful?
Yeah. No, that pretty in my lifetime, it has not helped at all. Why? I tell you, you always need any coach or mentor if you want to improve any skill. Why? Because if I record my video of my speech for 5 minutes, and after that I will see my video, okay, I can just improve here, okay. But if you don't know the right ways to improve, probably you don't know about hand gestures at all, you will not come to know that there you need to improve. A mentor will tell you that here you have done a mistake, next time you can do that. But if you don't know about that mistake at all, you will miss out those points. So that's why feedback and improvement should come from probably mentor, coach, or any expert person. There you will be able to improve and go to the next level.
Can you tell us your most challenging client experience?
Oh, most challenging. I had many.
Give us an example.
Okay, but yeah, let me just think of one person. Okay. So before that, briefly, let me just explain you that how my training programs actually work.
Okay.
So what happens that whenever I conduct my training program thrice a year back in India. Okay. So what happens that if you attend my first program, you have enrolled for the first program. After the training, you need to speak in front of huge audience. We conduct public speaking event. Okay, where unknown audience come. as a as an audience, and you have to speak in front of strange people. That's your final speech you are delivering. So there are people who enroll it. I train them, and at the last moment, they just become nervous and they just say that I'm not going to give speech this time. Okay, and one or two person are there that they just don't give final speech in front of strange people.
Yep.
So there was a one person who were almost 48 years old. Okay, he had never hold the mic in his lifetime. And then the first time he was little bit afraid. Even after his training, he was afraid to speak in front of audience. And a day before, I just had to tell him, I just had to boost his confidence that if you miss out this opportunity, you are not going to get another opportunity for that. I really love the one quote that you need to jump in the ocean where you are the most afraid. That moment you need to jump in the ocean where you are most afraid. So he just got ready, and on the next day, he gave his wonderful speech in front of strange people. And finally, you won't believe, Brian, he became a YouTuber now. So now he is going to some summit, some leadership summit as a speaker. As a leadership speaker, he is going.
That's
So
excellent.
that was very challenging to make him convinced to boost his confidence. But somehow I was able to do that, and that was the most challenging. Apart from that, 5 days program is like a trial and error method. So we know that this kind of things are going to work and boost their confidence for sure.
Now, most of the conversation we've had this morning has been about preparing for a speech. What about impromptu speeches when you don't know what you don't know that you're going to be called upon? How do you prepare for an impromptu speech?
Okay, so impromptu speeches are like a spontaneous speeches. You just have to go and you have to speak. So for that, you need to practice a lot. You can never do, that is for sure, you can never do impromptu speeches without preparation, okay? So for that, first you need to practice a lot of prepared speech. So for example, if I'm starting my public speaking career, I should go to different conferences as a speaker with preparation, which I have got the invitation before a month, and I need to speak on this topic. So if I do it for next 6 months, 8 months, then I will be able to give impromptu speeches. But nobody can give impromptu speeches, immediately without any kind of a preparation, no practice or experience in public speaking. Otherwise, you will lose your image, because there are many people who are confident enough that, okay, I can speak spontaneously. But here I give you example that why you don't need to do it. Because if you are given a 5 minutes time to speak, okay, without your experience of prepared speeches in last years, you will start speaking and you will go on and on and on and 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, so you are not valuing a time of 5 minutes, and you are just going long and long and long, and then everybody has to stop you. That, okay, you were given only 5 minutes, but you went ahead. So this kind of practices actually help you, that if you are given a 5 minutes, you need to finish in 4.5 or 5 minutes. That's it. If you are given 15 minutes, you need to finish in 14 minutes. Without practice and experience, impromptu speeches, you will never know that what kind of content you are using. You will love to speak everything in impromptu speeches. So experience matters. First, start with your prepared speeches. After 6 or 8 months, you will be able to give impromptu speeches because you have practiced a lot with the time management also in the public speaking.
When I'm in a conference or some sort of event where I might be called upon to make an impromptu speech or ask a question or respond to a discussion or something like that, I'll do a couple of things. The first thing I'll do is I'll jot down 3 or 5 points that I want to make so that I've got written down, even if I don't refer to the notes, the actual, effort to write them down for me ends up being really helpful to write them down. And then, what I typically do is I'll start by saying, I want to tell you about 3 things, and I'll list the 3 things. And then I'll go into detail on the 3 things. And then I'll finish up by saying, and the 3 things that I told you about are. And so I'll tell people what I'm going to tell them. I'll tell them it, and then I'll summarize and remind them the 3 things that I told them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's really great idea. But with that, you have the experience of speeches, right? And then they call you that, okay, Brian, please speak on this topic. People would love to hear you from this, right? And you have this is a very interesting point, Brian, which you have said that you note down the points. Points are very important to stick to your time and to keep it short, concise, and brief, and which can help audience learn as well as to grow. So when you put down in the points, you can just quickly finish it. Okay, first point is this, second point is this, third point is this. And I'll give you one more idea with that. That whenever you start your speech, any speech, even if it is impromptu, it's always a great way to start your speech. Just start with a question. It will immediately engage your audience. Because they have to respond. So, for example, you can just simply add that, okay, how many of you are here to learn this skill? And people will raise hands, or people will just say, no, we are just here to have fun. But you get the attention from the audience, right? So, immediately, if you want to get the attention from audience, you can just start your speech with a question.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
We're going to have to leave it here. If people want to access your coaching, how do they best do that?
Okay, that's my email ID is there. It's rinkal@candor.in.
And your website?
My website is www.candor.in. It's KANDOR.in.
Thank you so much for chatting with us tonight and telling us about how to be more confident, how to speak with modality, modulation, different volumes, hand gestures, nonverbal communication, and most importantly, what you got to say. That's got to be authentic. It's got to be you. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Brian, for having me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too. We're going to take a break and come back with a couple of my own comments in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody.